Hey all, it is I, Anthony the Canadian Guy, and welcome to Wrestlesode, the solution to your wrestling information problems. How are all of you? How have you been? It is nice to be back. As you can hear, I have a voice, though it isn't back to where it was, and it's not quite good enough to do podcasting. I'm still going to try, because I haven't talked wrestling in over 2 weeks. I haven't done a podcast in over 2 weeks. I'm going through withdrawals. I really want to do a podcast, so I am back, and I'm going to be talking to you guys today. It's not going to be a very long podcast. I'm going to be easing myself back in, but there are a couple of things I really want to chat with all of you about. And the first of it, because I'm not even going to plug my stuff unless you want to subscribe and like this episode and remember to follow me on social medias. Anyways, besides any of those things, there are some really cool things I want to talk to all of you about. And the first has to do with Alberta wrestling. Now, I know not all of you are in the Alberta scene, and you're like, whoa, what's so cool about the Alberta wrestling scene? Well, aside from the fact that it's top-notch wrestling, and we have some of the greatest promotions here with some of the greatest talent in the Alberta indie scene, besides any of those things, why you should care is because it's amazing wrestling, and that's what you're listening to this for. So that's why. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about something. 2 weeks ago, the day before my throat basically shut down and I lost my voice, I was at the PWA Battle at the Dome, or Battle in the Dome. I can't remember right off the top of my head. It was one of those two, but Battle in the Dome that the Prairie Wrestling Alliance put on, and it was a fantastic show. It was so much fun. So I got a ticket from my friend Tom, which, by the way, thank you, at Tom Ken Media on Twitter, was able to score me some tickets, and also from his older brother, thankfully. Brett, thank you again. So what happened was the Calgary Hitmen, which is part of the WHL, were taking on the Saskatoon Blades, and it was a Bret Hart night. It was I want to say a tribute because he's still here, but you know what I'm trying to say. It was like a retrospective on his career, essentially. So the Calgary Hitmen had this match against the Saskatoon Blades. Unfortunately, they did lose 2-3. But after the match, they had Bret Hart out and he was interviewed and they were talking about wrestling. Well, the Prairie Wrestling Alliance was able to put a wrestling ring together on the actual ice, and they put on a 4-match card. Now, I just want to say, first off, that this is really huge news for the Prairie Wrestling Alliance, because outside of the WWE and Stampede Wrestling, who wrestles in the Saddle Dome? And the answer is absolutely nobody. So some of the names that have wrestled in the Saddle Dome, it's like a huge list of just the top-notch names. And then we get to add now to that list and more top-notch names in the Alberta independent wrestling scene. We got to see some really cool matches. We got to see a battle royal. We got to see a fatal 4-way women's match. We got to see a 3v3 main event. And we got to see a cool tag title match, and it was really great. I could just talk forever about the cool wrestling that's going on in Alberta, but there's one more thing I want to talk to all of you about, because besides the Prairie Wrestling Alliance, I was invited to a very interesting and really cool event. It's an invite-only wrestling event that they are putting on in Edmonton, Alberta. It's called the Clandestine Society, because it's a big party where everybody's just going to be hanging out and just watching some cool wrestling. The wrestlers will be out in the crowd. You can just go up, you have a couple drinks with some people, and it's all going to be streamed live on Twitch, on YouTube. There's going to be links everywhere. Please go on Twitter and follow them. I'm going to be pulling it up right here because I'm just totally prepared for everything. So it is at Clandestine SOC. That's CLANDESTINE SOC for Clandestine Society. You have to keep an eye on this event because they're already talking and putting on some amazing matches. Only 3 matches so far have been announced, but let me tell you about some of these matches right now. The first match that got to be announced was a triple threat match versus arguably 2 of the best independent wrestlers that I would say are working the Alberta scene, and then a really, really huge name in the independent scene. So we'll start off with Brandon Van Danielson. Now, BVD, huge name in the Alberta indie scene. Everybody loves BVD. The guy is huge, and he can do some really cool moves. He's a big guy, and he's got a great look. He's a cowboy, essentially, but like, I wouldn't say like an Adam Page cowboy. I'm talking like mean, gruff cowboy. We have probably and arguably the greatest independent wrestler in all of Canadian independent wrestling right now in Michael Richard Blaze, MRB. And then in terms like, and just let me just talk about MRB. This guy is intense. I've been lucky enough to watch this guy wrestle live a couple of times. He's been in some just absolute intense matches. The first time I ever got to see him live was at a Prairie Wrestling Alliance show last year it was in a 3 Stages of Hell match where he was the third opponent for Gabriel Lestat. It was a really, really cool match. And I remember watching that match and thinking when I was looking at this MRB guy, or Michael Richard Blaze, I was looking at him and I was like, this guy, there's something about this guy. This guy's gonna be big. And I was right. I finally got introduced to MRB at that point, and this guy is a top-notch wrestler. He always puts on the coolest spots, at all the different shows. He wrestles with such intensity. His promos are amazing. He's got a really cool look. He's even been, extras, or I wouldn't say extras. I don't want to say jobbers either. He's been enhancement talent on the WWE. He has wrestled in the same ring against #DIY, which is obviously Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, as he was Dylan Miley's partner at the time, aka Lars Sullivan. Yes, he got squashed in that match, but that's fine. He also had a really great match against Hideo Itami, and he did a great job. Now, obviously, he's enhancement talent. He was there to put Hideo Itami over, and then of course it was like a whole Mustafa Ali Hideo Itami thing anyways, but he got some offense off. And I remember when he kicked Hideo in the wet stomach, and Hideo kind of like bent forward a bit, and he like kicked Hideo again like 3 times in the head. Let me just say, MRB's super kicks are just top notch. It's incredible to see. And then I get to see this guy wrestle live, but not only that, I get to see this guy wrestle live at the Clandestine Society. I'm gonna see if I can buy this guy like a drink or something. He's super cool and super awesome to watch. You got to keep an eye out for MRB. And then not only that, in terms of actual independent wrestlers who are huge names, they also going to have Artemis Spencer there. Now, Artemis Spencer is another really big name. He's been in a couple of really big things. He was in, what was it called? Battle for Los Angeles earlier this year. He was a Defy Wrestling champion. He had a really great match. I remember watching one of his matches against what was his name? Desmond Xavier. That was a really intense match. This guy is going to be a part of this triple threat. Now, these 3 guys are going to just put on what I'm going to call just like probably one of the greatest matches I've ever going to see with my personal eyes. I've been to live events, I've been to pay-per-views, but well, let me tell you when I say this though, Alberta's indies are really, really good. I mean, not everybody can be, what can you say, like in this specific match, but there's a lot of people who you could easily put in contention for a match like this, with people like Jack Pride, Michael Allen, Richard Clark, who's the current PWA champion, Danny Dugan, who's currently working with the CWE, my personal favorite independent wrestler in Alberta, Travis Cole. There's a whole bunch and a whole whack of people in Alberta who are at such a level that I think put on just top-notch matches, be it funny comedy matches to just literally barn burners, as they're called. That is happening. And that's just one match that is happening at the Clandestine Society, which I will be a part of, and I get to be there live. I'm obviously not going to wrestle. I can't take a bump. Who cares about me? I'm nobody. Next, after that, they announced another just what I'm going to call like a fantastic match, because it involves probably my favorite female independent wrestler that's wrestling in Alberta right now, Zoe Sager, who is essentially undefeated in the last year, but has only taken what I would call a very few select losses, not inside the PWA essentially, but she is amazing to watch, and I've always really enjoyed watching her wrestle. She was at the Battle in the Dome. She got to retain her PWA championship against Alex Wigger, Kat Von Ease, and Kylie Morgan. And it was just so cool. So anyways, Zoe Sager is going to be there, and she's going to be taking on none other than Nicole Matthews. Now, Nicole Matthews is another really big name in the female independent scene out of Vancouver, in the Canadian independent scene. She's going to be taking on Zoe Sager. And this is another thing. I get to just be in the crowd, and they're going to come out, and I could just like hang with them. I could give high fives. I give 2 sweets, probably more than likely. And that would be so cool to me because, and I'll just be completely honest, Zoe Sager's really freaking talented. She's been doing this for like a year and maybe just like a little bit. I'm pretty sure I've listened to an interview with her, with my good friend Spencer Love. Go check him out at the Win Column Sports Network, the WCSN. Anyways, they do amazing interviews over there, but Zoe's been doing this for just a little over a year. I'm going to say less than 2 years, like professionally, at least on the main independent circuit. And she's so good. She's got like serious intensity in the ring. She can put on a comedy match or a real match. She put on a comedy match really recently with, and I couldn't tell you what the name of the wrestler was, but I'm just going to call them Waving Wrestler. That's what I'm going to call them, Waving Wrestler. And it was a really funny match, but, not just that, she's just really talented. I think in terms of cutting promos, she could do a little bit more, but I think that's with, more time and more effort. Zoe Sager is already really good. I just think that compared to what she does in the ring, her promos just aren't quite to what she is in the ring. But she's definitely getting there. Like I said, she's been doing this for like a year and a half. She's going to be somebody huge, and she's so much fun to watch. And if you ever get a chance to see Zoe Sager wrestle, absolutely go and see it. And like I was saying, Nicole Matthews. Now, Nicole Matthews is one of the people they are bringing in to this event. They are going to be drawing some serious eyes, and it's going to be one of the coolest events they'll ever get to be a part of. Nicole Matthews, obviously, a really, really huge name. And then recently they announced another match, and I think this one was announced yesterday. Anyways, they're going to have the PWA champion, Team Flex Appeal himself, and Mr. Anti-Bus People, Michael Allen Richard Clark, taking on Son of Irish. Now, I actually have never personally had a chance to watch Son of Irish wrestle. I know that he is wrestling inside of RCW, which is Real Canadian Wrestling, and I've heard amazing things about Son of Irish. So I'm really excited to get to see him wrestle, and it's going to be probably for my first time. Unless I go and watch some matches ahead of time, which is more than likely what I will do. But he's going to be taking on Michael Allen Richard Clark. Now, though, I will personally say that it is really fun to boo Michael Allen Richard Clark. You really have to give it to this guy. He's got serious talent. And his gimmick with the whole anti-bus people, when he goes out and he calls out people in the crowd as being bus people, dirty bus people, it makes me laugh so much that I want to get a shirt that specifically says, I'm a bus person. I don't even ride the bus. I have a car, but I would ride the bus. I'm a bus person. So I'm not necessarily Michael Allen Richard Clark's favorite person, but he's a great heel, and he does a great job as a heel. And when he's out there with people like Thaddeus Archer III, who is the most sharply dressed man in not just professional wrestling, potentially in all of the existence of the universe, I would happily let Thaddeus Archer III choose my suits for me, because every suit that he has ever worn, I have thought to myself, I want that suit. So when you mix Michael Allen Richard Clark with Thaddeus Archer III, it's this perfect pair of just want to boo these guys. They do a great job of getting heat, and I couldn't talk more about how good these guys are at making me hate them, because when I'm live at a show, I really hate Michael Allen Richard Clark. But then after the matches that he's put on, I'm just like, damn, he's good. Like, he's really good. So it makes sense that he would be holding something like the PWA Championship. Now, these are just 3 matches that are announced. This is taking place on December 14th at 6 p.m. There is going to be a free live stream. And it's going to be one hell of a show. And I really do hope that all of you out there are listening will tune in and get to enjoy the show with me. If you do not have, of course, an invitation from the Clandestine Society to attend, please do tune in to the live stream, because this is Act 1. I have a feeling this is not going to be the last time we see the Clandestine Society popping up. And I really hope also that it is not the last time that I get an invitation, because it looks like it is going to be one hell of a party. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that today, because Alberta independent wrestling right now is so cool. It is so good. We have amazing brands. Right now, we even have, with this Canadian Wrestling's Elite, the CWE, we have Juventud Guerrera touring around Canada right now in his first ever tour of Canada. and he's putting on matches. He's doing great work. Right now, we have Shawn Spears as the Prairie Wrestling Alliance Commonwealth Champion. Now, unfortunately, he did have to step back from a show that they were putting on in Calgary about a week ago because he wasn't cleared medically for wrestling after a match on Dynamite and everything. Anyways, he wasn't able to attend, so they had to change the match last minute. They threw Michael Richard Blaze in the main event and then turned it into The Audience Brings Weapons. And I saw some amazing, just absolutely amazing gifs. If you just go on Twitter, they're all there, of like a candy cane exploding into like 1 million pieces. That was really cool to see. And just some of the things, like people chanting ho, ho, ho. Oh, that just made me really happy. Legos being laid out and people getting laid out on Legos. Man, I gotta say, for the people in that main event, at the Remembrance show, Michael Richard Blaze, Michael Allen, Richard Clark, Jack Pride, and of course, last second, I've got to forget everything that was happening. BVD. Why did I forget BVD? Brandon Van Danielson, obviously. Obviously, Michael Richard Blaze and Brandon Van Danielson couldn't be further from like they look opposite people, but they're really close, and they're obviously really good friends. And I can't think of one without the other, so obviously I should have thought of that. Anyways, all that aside, everybody should be really excited for Alberta wrestling. It is amazing. It's got seriously great talent. It's got people who are going to be going places in wrestling, and it's so fun to get to see them in these stages, because people that have moved through the PWA, who have moved through other smaller promotions and other bigger promotions that have wrestled in Alberta, the list goes on. For PWA, like I said, Shawn Spears is the current Commonwealth champion. We've had people move there like, Matthew Matthias, aka, Tyler Breeze. Sorry, my throat's now starting to go, so I know I should probably stop this here pretty soon. We've had people like Peyton Royce. We've had so many different appearances that people who have wrestled in Alberta. Like, it goes on and on. Alberta is a hub for wrestling, and though we no longer have Stampede Wrestling, we do have Top Notch Wrestling. And with myself and the help of other different amazing organizations and groups and promoters within Alberta, I want to see Alberta rise to prominence once again in the world of wrestling. And I know I'm not the only one. I want to bring some eyeballs to this province wrestling because it is top notch. Anyways, my throat is starting to hurt. I appreciate all of you for listening here today, and thank you for listening. And if you have saying, oh, welcome back, I'm glad your throat's doing better, I appreciate that as well. So thank you. I hope you all have yourself a wonderful day. And don't forget to go check out the Clandestine Society on Twitter at Clandestine SOC. And also don't forget to go check out Prairie Wrestling Alliance. aka, I can't remember that one. That is at PWA Wrestling CA for just top-notch wrestling. And if you are ever interested in catching up on storylines and seeing some of the amazing talent that wrestles in Alberta, go check out The Archer Report on YouTube from Thaddeus Archer III. Though he is an amazing heel manager, he does put on one hell of an entertaining YouTube channel. So go check him out. Catch up on some of the storylines that are going on here in Alberta. See some of the amazing behind-the-scenes stuff like above average tips, or just getting the interviews that now Spencer Love does for the Archer Report, or just the backstage shenanigans that you get to see from people like The League, who are hilarious, by the way. I really absolutely love The League, and though I love to give them so much hell on Twitter, I'm a big fan of The League. Brandon Parsons and Davey O'Doyle, they are really funny. Even though they are obviously Saskatchewan boys, so I have to hate them, but I love them. Anyways, I'm gonna go. Thank you all once again, and have yourself a wonderful night.